I met Dave and Kristen Miller 10 years ago, and just they have been absolutely life changing for me in every way possible. Today, we're telling the story of how we've worked with them at CMO Church, how we doubled their audience, and how that doubled their organization. And these are Dave's words, not mine, on the doubling. Stay tuned, watch till the end, because we're going to share how the marketing strategies that we deployed in their business can help for yours too, and how you can learn more about it. So Dave runs an organization called Leadership Pathway with his wife, Kristen. They're co-founders. And Leadership Pathway helps churches and organizations develop and train Gen Z leaders and Gen Alpha as they come in through 2-year residencies so that by the end of 2 years, they go from brand new, zero experience to hireable. That's what Leadership Pathway is. That's how they serve people. One of the ways that Dave says it is we do a lot of coaching of the bosses of young leaders. So they help develop the leaders who are developing the leaders, if that makes sense. For example, I now have a resident in my organization, and I have a Leadership Pathway coach that coaches me on how to develop that resident. So super helpful. Love their team. Incredible work. I think we need more. I think every large church in the country needs to have a residency program with Leadership Pathway. They just turned 9 years old as a company, and knowing what it took to get there, man, like they are surviving, thriving. I love seeing where their organization is heading. But they've also worked a lot harder than I have over the last 10 years to build this thing. My friendship with Dave went from me being a college kid. Actually, I was a high school kid when I met him. He convinced me to go to college in the middle of a cornfield at a ministry school. And then by the end of my college career, I was doing a residency with Carrie Newhoff largely because of Dave. I learned from Carrie, worked there for 4 years. And then a few years later, Dave asked me to join on his board for Leadership Pathway. And then a couple of years ago, when I started CMO Church, I asked Dave if there was anything marketing related that I could help him with, and he was like, of course. So they are our longest running client, I think. And man, it's just been a blast to get to work with them. I love what they do. I love getting to serve them. And so we pulled a couple quotes from Dave, and one of them I wanted to read to you. So we asked him, hey, Dave, how has working with CMO Church changed your business at all? How has that impacted you? And his exact words were, it's basically doubled it. That'd be the shortest answer. Would we even still be going without CMO Church? I don't know. It's been that much of an impact. And hearing that, that's exactly what we want our organizations to say. Hey, they are an integral part of our organization, and we love hearing that. We also built out this lead magnet together, and Dave was one of the first organizations to deploy my CTA framework, which is create, test, amplify, a 10 out of 10 lead magnet so that it goes viral, grows your audience, and scales your impact. I'm really proud of the 7 key ingredients of developing Gen Z. That's the free resource that we created. Dave created it. I just identified it and helped scale it up with ads. But over time, we have put thousands of dollars of ads behind that, and it's grown an audience of 5,000 plus church leaders just who are interested in developing Gen Z. And that top of funnel has led to their organization doubling how many clients they have this year, which is incredible and exactly what we wanted. What happened is we doubled their top of funnel impact, and that ended up funneling down the funnel into bottom of funnel. So if you have an ecosystem where you're sending emails, all that kind of stuff, the CTA framework also can work for you. So one of the things that we interviewed Dave, and my favorite thing that Dave said in our interview wasn't even about results. It was this. Dave says, I find myself doing that a lot. I'm always talking about Dylan. If it's a good Mexican restaurant or someone who could double your business, I'm going to be like, have you talked to Dylan? Like Dave just says, he talks about me all the time. And that's true. And I'm very grateful to Dave for that. And it's just a ton of fun. So I appreciate him. I take the compliment. I'd like to feel like we are like a good Mexican restaurant where you just keep sharing about it over and over as time goes on. So anyways, Dave, if you're watching this, thank you. We love you as a client. Leadership Pathway, one of our favorite organizations on the planet. It's just an honor to get to serve organizations like yours and to serve Gen Z and the next generation. And I wouldn't be in ministry if it weren't for leadership. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if it weren't for Leadership Pathway's influence on my life. Thank you. And I hope that everyone who watches this video calls Dave and says, hey, we need a residency inside of our organization. It's not just for churches. It's primarily for churches. But if you lead a faith-based organization, organization and you're a leader worth multiplying, give Dave a call. We'll include a link down to Leadership Pathway in the description of this video. We'll also send some traffic their way from the email and text and all that kind of stuff. The last thing I wanted to call out is if you don't want to talk to Dave, which you should, but if you don't want to, Dave and Kristen wrote a book, and it's called Who's the Next You? And it asks a great question. Who's the next you? Because every great ministry leader needs to have a multiplication strategy. You need to know who is the next you coming along, and you need to have that answer because pipelines dry up and recruitment for church staff has become harder than ever. So if you don't have a plan for developing you into the next you need to talk to Leadership Pathway and you need to read that book. So go ahead and buy it on Amazon, do all that kind of stuff. And if you're leading a church or a nonprofit or whatever, you need to have a residency. And not just one, but you probably need a residency for all of your great leaders inside of your organization because you want them developing the next generation of leaders inside of your organization. And church leaders, here's another secret. The best way to reach the next generation is to hire them. If you're not hiring them, they're not going to come to your church. So if you don't have a pathway, an internship, a residency, something, you need to build one if you want to reach them. Otherwise, your church is going to just keep aging up. Get on Dave's calendar, book some time, and we're just grateful for Leadership Pathway. If you want to know how to leverage the CTA framework inside of your business, we've got tons of videos on the channel here about how to do that, and it's probably one of the suggested ones that's popping up next to my face right now. All right, appreciate you.